Good day, class. Welcome to part 2 of our lesson, Groups and Teams. After the decision is made to initiate teams, a steering committee develops the plans for the designed team, which plans the entire process. The process goes through 5 phases: the startup, the reality and unrest phase, the leader-centered teams phase, the tightly formed teams phase, and finally, the goal is for teams to become self-managing. The time it takes for each stage varies with the organization. The 5 implementation phases. The startup phase. At the startup, the team members are selected and trained. Teams begin to manage themselves. The reality and unrest phase. At this early phase, the team will need help dealing with frustration and ambiguity. Managers should stay visible and involved. The leader-centered teams phase. This phase will encourage strong internal team leaders. The managers must assist each team in development of its own sense of identity. The tightly formed teams phase. At this stage, the team may be too internally focused. It needs to keep communication channels with other teams. Teams shouldn't become competitive. And finally, self-managing teams phase. It could take months or years to reach this phase, but at this stage, teams are now capable of meeting or exceeding performance goals. The team becomes flexible and is able to take on new ideas. Creating new teams require trust, the confidence that other people will honor their commitment, especially when it is difficult to monitor or observe other people's behavior. Social facilitation. This happens when people are motivated to look good to others and want to maintain a positive self-image. Roles. This defines the behaviors and tasks each team member is expected to perform because of the position he or she holds. And also other factors like positive norms, shared team goals, feedback, team rewards, and how new members are integrated. To understand team performance, the leaders must consider process gain, process loss, and team efficacy. Process gain is the performance improvements that occur because people work together rather than independently. Process loss is the process decrements, technicality, and elements that occur when a team performs worse than the individual member would have if they had worked alone. Team efficacy is a team's shared belief that it can organize and execute the behaviors necessary to reach its goals. What are the benefits of teams? What are the costs of teams? Also, the following slide is a chart that shows examples of the benefits of having teams. Like here, it can reduce cost, and the benefits of cost reduction is lower turnover, absenteeism, and injuries. Companies that benefited reduction of cost because they have teams in their company were Kodak, Westinghouse, and Texas Instruments. Companies must promote effective team performance. Top management must support changes and must adopt team models for sound business performance. Organizations need to understand the time frames involved. It usually takes a long time for teams to develop. Organizations must require adjustments to the organizational reward system and must include incentives for additional team contributions. Incentives like skill-based pay, gain-sharing systems, and team bonus plans. In some organizations, teams have written contracts. A team contract is a written agreement among the team members establishing ground rules about the team's processes, roles, and accountabilities. The following are important team competencies: conflict resolution abilities, collaborative problem solving abilities, communication abilities, goal setting and self management abilities, and planning and task coordination abilities. Teams must also monitor ethical practices. The ethical decisions for teams can be guided by the following questions: how do teams fairly distribute work? How do teams assign and blame and award credit? How do teams ensure participation, resolve conflict, and make decisions? How do teams avoid deception and corruption? Emerging trends in organizations is the formation of virtual teams, but this faces new challenges such as geography, isolation, difficulty to perform mentoring and integration, and many functions must be performed by the team without the leader being present. And the leader will require new skill sets. They must be able to communicate effectively and match technology to the situation. They must build community among team members based on mutual trust and respect. They must establish a clear and motivating shared vision, team purpose, goals, and expectations. And they must lead by example and also coordinate and collaborate across organizational boundaries. There are several collaborative technologies available today that can support virtual groups. Synchronous and asynchronous information technologies support virtual teams. These platforms offer meeting management software, electronic whiteboards, and collaborative document editors. Diversity in teams is also an important issue today. Diversity can cause conflict and problems in integration and communication. But it has been also proven that management of diversity can lead to more creativity and innovation and improvement in decision making and problem solving. Other diversity challenges also exist in how different cultures approach hierarchy and authority and decision making, and also how diverse cultures communicate directly and indirectly. That ends today's lesson. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day and God bless.